Hi, guys. Welcome to Cultivating Consciousness. My name is Denise, and I am back in action. I've been in action. I just haven't recorded content for YouTube, but I've still been coaching. I've still been seeing clients, and we just enjoyed the last bit of summer break. We took some small trips. I've been sort of like preparing the house for winter, for fall, for winter, which also includes the fun part of crafting for Halloween. So that's been super fun. You'll be seeing some decorations behind me over the next coming weeks. um, Anyhow, so I'm back and I wanted to switch up the format a little bit. So you're going to see me looking down. I actually decided to take notes. For those of you that don't know, this channel that I have was not my first appearance on YouTube discussing manifestation for about 5 years or so, somewhere around there. I was with another channel and I freestyled videos all the time. And I've been freestyling all these. And I just have decided sometime recently, probably like the last day today, I don't know. I recently decided that I want to change up that format and give you guys what I feel like will be more concise, direct videos. So while this one has a lot of chatter in the beginning, just because it's been a while, that won't always be the case. I'll just say hi and jump into it. But anyway, so that's what we're going to do. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how we like it. As you saw from the thumbnail, this title is about reality changing when you do. Reality will shift when you do because, as we know, reality is a reflection of your dominant state, your identity, your self-concept, okay? So now that state, identity, and self-concept is the source of your thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs. It's the source, and it's through your thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs that you can connect with a new identity. So it's the source, and it's also a tool or a mechanism or the path through, right? Or path to identities. So that being said, as you tell these stories consistently about what you're seeing, you're reinforcing, right? So you will strengthen and reinforce your identity anytime you either argue with the 3D, react to the 3D, argue against the 3D, or agree with the 3D, right? There's different ways that we can allow ourselves to assume an identity of something that we're seeing in reality. And it's really important to recognize when you're doing this and to know that doing this, while it may feel natural and it may feel normal and it may feel like what you're drawn to do, if you continue to allow yourself to react in any of these ways, to engage and to interact with reality, you are inviting that circumstance to continue or to persist or to come back. You are saying, this is how reality works. And your subconscious is saying, okay, I'll give you more of that. And so it's going to keep reinforcing that dominant state, assumptions, thoughts, beliefs. Everything will just get stronger. So this is important to know because it's through the persistence of a new perception. It's through persistence that sometimes we have to approach this, like knowing that we may have to persist and keep going and keep going and keep going until we've broken that loop, that feedback loop that keeps telling us, this is who you are, this is who you are, this is who you are. Because again, every time you interact with that 3D, you're handing your power over to it. You're saying that reality is powerful and this is who I am. So yeah. We really want to get to the place where we're not interacting with 3D, right? So in order for the reflection to change, if you don't change it by reacting or yelling or arguing or begging or crying or pleading, what do you do, right? In order for the reflection to change, you must begin to internally assume a shift or a change in identity, in state, in self-concept. And now what that means internally, it means you're doing it without the supportive reality, right? Like this is what conscious creation is. It means you're not just passively looking at the reflection and saying, yep, that's where I'm headed. That's who I am. That's what's happening. Okay. You are through consciousness thinking larger than the perceived reflection. larger than the perceived reality, larger than your current or old state, assumptions, thoughts, beliefs, concept, et cetera, et cetera. And so, this, like, I think one of the big things is that people don't give themselves permission to actually think beyond what they're seeing in the reflection. And that's really what free will is. That's how you exercise your free will. That's where you have free will, is in your ability to imagine, outside of and larger than your 3D reality. And as you practice that, like it's kind of an art that has been lost, I feel like, with a lot of people, especially with whatever. I'm not going to get into all that, but we have a lot of information coming at us very quickly and very, you know, automatically. And so people aren't like, pondering literature anymore or listening to beautiful classical music in a candlelit room and just allowing their imagination and their thoughts and their feelings to sort of bubble up. Everyone's sort of constantly consuming information. And while that is all a reflection and it's just a choice, right? There's no victims here. But I do feel that there has been a huge discrepancy between our ability to use our imagination the way it was intended. So all that being said, how do you do this? What do you do? Like you follow these steps, you persist in them until they become natural and they will override your old identity. But that's the important part. You start by giving yourself permission to do it. And then you keep persisting, even if you falter, even if you fail, even if you slip, even if you fall down, you just keep getting back up, because all that matters is the now moment. And eventually, in one of those now moments, you're going to what we'll call quantum shift, or shift into this new identity, and the reflection will follow suit. It will change for you. You will see the reflection of your new identity, but along the way, you're going to see the reflection of your dominant identity. You're going to see the reflection of the identity of trying when you're actually trying, right? You're going to see the reflection of the identity of wanting when you're really wanting, doubting when you're doubting, and etc. So it's all about practice. You want to cultivate consciousness, cultivate your imagination, and cultivate this reality for yourself. So that's one of the first things you do, is you get really clear on what your ideal reality looks like. Like this identity, if you were the version of you that had it right now, how does that version interact with reality? How does that version think? How does that version feel? How does that version assume? What kinds of stories are they telling themselves and others? All of it. Like, how do they walk into a room? How do they carry their body? What's the overall vibe of the version of you that has your desire already? Because remember, it's not actually about the desire itself. It's about how you believe this desire will make you feel. And you have access to those feelings always, right now. So as you start engaging with that version of you more and more, what are you doing? You're telling the universe, you're telling source, you're telling 3D reality who you are. You're telling it that you're fulfilled. You're telling it that you have everything you desire. You're telling it you're not trying anymore because it's done and it's yours. And what will you see? You'll see the reflection of that, right? So that's the first part, is that you start to really allow yourself to fantasize, contemplate, get in the state of, visualize, write it down if you need to. Like, how do I think? How do I feel as that version? What types of thoughts do I have and do I not have? And maybe at the end of every day, you sort of analyze, where you were at that day, and you'll notice, oh, I had that thought of whatever, feeling sad about XYZ. And okay, well, the version of me that has that wouldn't do that. And then you deliberately practice what the version would think instead. So as you continue to deliberately practice these things, you're preparing yourself better, right? You're putting these tools in your arsenal so that tomorrow, when you go at this again, and that feeling comes up, you hear that song or you see that thing or whatever it is, then you can better prepare yourself to act as if, to live in the end, to be the version who already has. So don't be shy about creating that identity. Like you're creating a character. That's what you're doing. You're creating a character, and every aspect of this character that pertains to the desire fulfilled. right? So again, the thoughts, assumptions, beliefs, body language, how they carry themselves, how they engage with others and reality in general, all of that. So, yeah. And then the other part is that you release your attachment to reality, to your current circumstances, right? This part, I can't, because like I said in the beginning, every time you react, every time you argue against, every time you agree with, like even when you just, oh, this must be just my destiny, this must be who I am, it is what it is, you're reinforcing that identity, which means now you're going to have to double up, right? And I hate to say that, but it's true. If we continue to strengthen that old story, we're going to have to persist more. We're going to have to persist with more strength to overcome it, right? That's law. So, and now that's not to say that you can't just shift instantly. People do it all the time. But this is for those that are finding themselves in old habitual patterns and up against beliefs that they've been carrying around for, the manifested life that they've been living. So you release attachment to your current circumstances. You release attachment to your current reality and the attachment to this identity, right? Which is really what you're doing. You're releasing attachment to an identity by not caring about the circumstances because you're adopting a new identity in that process. So you do this by simple reminders, right? If you're triggered by something, if you notice something, if you're looking at a 3D reality that is clearly not reflective of your chosen identity, you remind yourself, this is old. This is an old identity. This is an old timeline. This is an old story. This is an old version of me and of reality. And then you reaffirm that this is not who I have chosen to be. I have chosen to be, and you fill in the blank. I have chosen to experience. I have chosen to expect. I have chosen to focus on, and you fill in the blank, right? So things like that, not the reality I've chosen, no longer who I am. And again, using words like identity and concept and all of that stuff, version, however you want to use it. The other important part is to remind yourself this is temporary. It's temporary and it's on its way out, right? Instead of, oh, shit, here it is again. Why am I here again? Is this ever going to go away? Yeah, it's totally temporary. In fact, it's already fading. It's already dissolving. It's on its way out. And then follow up with, I no longer keep that reality in my consciousness. And I think this is really important because this is a great way to reaffirm and decide who you are moving forward. And if you have to say this or remind yourself, if you're triggered every 3 minutes or every 30 seconds, it's okay. It's freaking okay. Just keep doing it. And those 3 seconds will turn into 3 minutes, and the 3 minutes will turn into 30 minutes, and then it'll turn into 3 hours. And then you'll be riding on 3 days, and then 3 weeks, and then 3 months, and then and eventually you'll see the shift, you'll see the change. But it does require you to decide and to keep telling yourself these things and keep choosing your preferred identity over and over again until it becomes natural. Then it gets reflected out. So yeah. And then you practice being the version that you have created as often as possible, as frequently as possible. If you are holding up that version while you carry yourself through your day, it's going to be easier than if you wait for something to trigger you or to remind you that you're being the old version to then implement it, right? It's like preventative maintenance rather than waiting for yourself to fall into the hole and then dig yourself out. So, and I mean, it's still going to happen. You're still going to be triggered because you're going to see your old self reflected back. You just will until it shifts. It's until you don't care that you're seeing your old self reflected back because you live so much in this reality that you don't even worry about it because it's going to reflect back how you've been living. So, but until that happens, until you feel that freedom of it, you're going to see aspects of that old self. And don't beat yourself up. Handle it with grace. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself lots of love. Tell yourself you're doing a great freaking job and you're amazing and you're perfect. It's, love yourself as much as possible through this journey. Keep returning to this version of you as frequently as necessary, as often as possible. And like I said, don't beat yourself up if you have to do it every 3 seconds. It's okay. It won't stay like that forever. It's all temporary. I promise you. Trust me, from someone who knows, someone who was, I had to what they call now robotically affirm, but that hadn't even been coined yet. But I felt like I had to do that throughout my entire waking day just to keep myself from sinking into thoughts of, oh no, what if? Oh no, what about? Oh my gosh, oh no, oh no. All right, so, and it's okay. And now I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm living a life of freedom and I'm super happy and everything's amazing. So don't worry, you'll get there. I mean, there's a version of you that's already there. So, okay. And then, yeah, the last part is persist in immersing your consciousness in your chosen reality from the perspective of your chosen identity, right? So you're not observing excuse me, you're not observing a chosen or preferred reality from somebody who's looking at it out a window, wishing and hoping and one day maybe. God, I hope, right? And I'm not mocking anybody other than myself when I say stuff like that, but it's all in fun and it's playful and it's okay. But you are immersing yourself in in the consciousness of your chosen reality from the perspective of your chosen identity. So I'm so grateful. I love that. It feels amazing. I have so much freedom. I love everything about blah, blah, blah. My life is so perfect. My life is so whole. My life is so complete. My relationship is so amazing. Whatever it is, you start immersing yourself in that consciousness as frequently as possible. And, using visualization, using affirmations, using journaling, using meditation and contemplation. Use all the things. Just use them in ways that make it fun. Like you're thinking in your your brain is working when you're not awake, but you're consciously aware and thinking from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep. You're already doing it. So why not think and live in the reality that feels fulfilling? Why not think of or think from and live from your preferred reality? You're already, even though you're having an experience of being a physical body in a 3D physical reality, your whole perception and experience of that reality is all in your mind. It's not, you know what I mean? Like everything is translated through your mind, through an assumption, through a thought. I like that. I don't like that. Ooh, cold. Ooh, hot. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, this. Ooh, that. It's all mind. All your relationships with everyone in your family, your platonic friends, your romantic partners, whatever you're doing. Like everything is a relationship or it's a perception that's occurring in your mind. So exercise your free will and start living in the reality you prefer. Immerse yourself in that consciousness. All right, that wraps it up. I will see you guys next video, which won't be a month from now, I promise. Okay, bye.